Okay, that was the shortest break we've had this year so far. So now we're going to move on to, what's my list? Item 4, I believe it is, isn't it? Conclusions and recommendations. Chair, scrutiny to summarise the key points of the committee makes conclusions and recommendations. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. So there's been lots of discussion and questions answered today. So I'll run through some of these now. In the Director of Communities presentation, there was an offer for the committee to have a site visit walk around if they would like to accept. There was also the LDP sessions online, which the 21st of March being the key date set aside for fourth call, which could also be sent to the committee if they would like it. And just with the presentation as well, just on that section, if the committee wanted to request the slides, if they would be benefit, we could get them for the committee as well. So I don't know if you want to just discuss those three before I move on.
Oh, are we going to accept the offer of a visit to the site committee? That's the question. Councillor Graham Walters, please.
Having done so, Chair, I would certainly recommend it to those that haven't.
Well, you're welcome to come again, Councillor Walter, if you've got time, you know. We are going to accept it, yeah. I think everyone's nodding, yeah. Yeah, we are going to accept that invitation. Thank you. What was the second one?
The other one then was the LDP sessions, which were online. We could have them sent across the committee if they would like.
I think the director said that she'd send them and the others.
Yeah, they were sent to us.
We got them all right. We can just listen into them. Is that the idea? Yeah. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll listen into the salient ones. The third point 3 was.
Was just the presentation, the slides. If the committee would like them, then if they'd be benefit, then we can request them.
It'd be interesting, yeah, to have them, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Chair. And then points then from the discussions and questions that we had, the director offered if the committee would feel it would be a benefit to have information from the owners of the fairground regarding the footfall.
But you did say that was available, didn't you? And Janine did. So.
Yeah, Chair, it was a bit broader than that. The question I asked was more to do with the impact. If there was some, the footfall's part of it, but the impact of the loss of the fair and the economic impact on the town. I mean, it may be very difficult to do that, but how much revenue is spent in the town as a result of the fair, and how much we lost, you know.
We can ask that, and if they're able to. But what she did say when she answered is, I find that a bit difficult, but I can get the footfall and things. So we'll just see what they can give us, I suppose, in it, you know. But she certainly said the owners of the fairground have that information. She definitely said that. Yeah.
Sorry, Chair. Yeah, I was just gonna expand on that. I think Janine did find it difficult to provide an answer in respect of the overall financial impact. But I think she did mention that we could approach the owners of the fairground who she seemed fairly confident would be happy to provide the information. Obviously, we can't compel them to do that, but if we can get the information that is available and is forthcoming and provide that to the committee, and then the committee may have some further discussions and some further points following receipt of that information.
Okay.
Moving on then. Councillor Pratt raised concern for the lack of the sea defences for Newton, and the Director of Community said a written response could be provided at them looking for the grant funding and what the plan was going forward.
Yeah, we'll definitely have. That was a commitment to Councillor Pratt, that was, wasn't it? Was it to the committee or to Councillor Pratt? Did she say that?
Councillor Pratt, but the committee wants it.
Yeah, we have that as well, yeah.
No, I'm happy to put it in. I mean, it's my question.
Yeah.
It's my question, but I mean, if it shows up that the committee asked for it as well, it makes no difference to me as long as it comes into my inbox. I'm happy with that.
She promised you, didn't she? She looked round and said it.
Yeah, but I mean, if the committee are interested as well, I mean, you know, more eyes on it, the better.
Well, we're all elected to the whole county, not just our own wards as well. Remember, we all got a duty to worry about other things, not just your own ward. It's the,
No,
the
definitely.
road, you know,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Thank you. And then there was discussion around the PRIF and stakeholders and partnerships. I think Janine came back to say that the last scheme to be funded under the PRIF was Cozy Corner, and could provide a written response on previous PRIFs if that's what the committee would like.
That's what she said, yeah. I got quite confused with PRIF Credi. This, sorry, who was? Is that what she said?
Yeah, I'm not.
A simple summary of everything.
I'm not sure I got everything.
That's what she. Is that what she couldn't give? Was it? Is that right? Was that what I'm thinking? She was reluctant. Yeah. Yeah. You can ask the question. You can put some wording together with them, Martin, if you want to, for the, and see what comes back. I'm not quite. You'll be very careful how to word it. That's the problem. Isn't it? All you get is no comment. Otherwise, that's the problem, isn't it? You say the wrong, What can we ask for?
Could we ask for a summary of the funding streams that are underpinning or funding the overall portfolio? What's funded by what?
Can't hear the member, Chair.
No, what's sorry?
Apologies, I didn't have my
okay.
thing on, Chair. Could we ask for a summary of the individual funding streams that fund various aspects of Porthcawl redevelopment? So what's coming from private, what's coming from PRIF, what's coming from other places, so we have a better idea of what's funding what.
Right. Okay. Councillor Jenkins, you got your hand up?
Yeah, sorry. Well, I think I should have come in previously when officers was here, but it's just that something that have come back in my mind. And please, if you want to rule me out of order, but with regards to a number of what they are rumours, and how would we ask, or if we could ask, even if it's too late now at the moment, perhaps it is, what concessions are given to the landowners at the moment of a Coney Beach, etc., the fairground, for concessions for opening premises along the front and Cozy Corner, etc. Because I understand that they've been given preferential treatment, whether it's an agreement or not, to run ice cream shops and various other things like that. Is that part of a deal, or am I out of order asking that?
Well, one is there's nobody here to answer it, Councillor Jenkins. One, it may be commercially sensitive. I don't know the answer. I don't know. Anybody any comments?
That's why I was asking the legalities of it, but I understand that from concerns from other retailers and businesses that the deal has been done. Whether that's just
Well,
I don't know.
I don't think we can ask that. Can we? No, they're all.
No, that's fair enough. It's fair enough. But there are concerns.
I know your point you're making, but the ones in front of me here don't seem to think it's we should
relevant.
Oh, no.
Okay.
All right. Thanks,
yeah,
sir.
fair enough.
Thank you. What was we on?
So are you happy to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
So there was question regarding what facilities provisions there was for coaches, day trips, buses going into Porthcawl, and the Director of Community said she would ask the bus operators on what they did with the buses during the day trips and assess the need, if any, for coach bus parking and provide an update back to the committee.
Well, they used to go to Salt Lake, didn't they? That's where they used to park the coaches back in the day, didn't they?
It's just going back a few years. I'm only 38, but it's going. No, I'd imagine they probably did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't.
Well,
I can't remember last
is
time.
right. If you're going to get cars off the road and revert, go into public transport, that's the sort of thing that would come back, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the sort of, you'd be looking to increase the coach. He's right.
It's.
I haven't thought about it.
I mean, the worry would be is if you make provision but something that's not in existence. I mean, I'd want to look at to make sure that bus trips to Porthcawl are a thing rather than aspiration. You know what I mean? You know, it's. I mean, obviously it happened before. Yeah. Will it happen in the future? You know, that would be a question.
Are we trying to make it happen? You know, because, like I said, to get, you know, if there's 52 people on a coach, that's 20 or 30 cars maybe that haven't turned up in town, isn't it?
I think it should be part of a strategy and considered myself, because, you know, when it's all finished and laid out, which may be a year or two or more from now, you take the people who may want to come down now to the pavilion when it's all done and finished. They'll come down in an afternoon. Organisations that I just mentioned, if it's only church choirs, all types of groups. Children will come. In school will run a trip to see something that's put on with them. They'll come in the afternoon, and then it's an early evening performance, and they're there for several hours. They hire the bus for the day. It makes sense to do that type of thing.
It's a point well made, Phil, and we're going to ask you some sort of question about it, I'm sure. What? Sorry, Jess? Councillor Bledsoe?
Yeah, it was just to build on this. Could this committee then put a recommendation forward that this authority considers the provision of a coach park within their plans, because they're not there at the moment, built on the conversation
we just had
that we could do that. Yeah.
And like I said, it's to me it's the way it's the drift that will be going on, is to get the cars off the road. So it makes sense, as Councillor Jenkins says, part the choir all come down in individual cars, they can all come down on a bus. It does make sense. And there's no provision for it at the moment.
It should go. It should go with a strategy, shouldn't it? Really, yeah. You know, sort of hand in glove. You know, we're trying to cut down on car use, and yet we haven't got a coach park that brings in 52 people.
I take Councillor Pratt's point. It doesn't happen at the moment, but we want to make it happen, don't we? That's something we want. It's something we want to happen.
Like I say, it makes sense. I support Councillor Bledsoe on that question. I just, you know, it is the question of, are we building for aspiration, or are we just going to have 10 rather large empty parking spaces? You know what I mean? You know, this is, but then...
Well, it's not beyond the width of man to have sort of a section of the car park which could be converted into a sort of, you know, if the need wants, isn't it, sort of thing, you know? I don't know, but...
No, I mean, it's worth the question, definitely. I'll support it. Just we'll see where we go.
Yes.
Sorry, Chair. I was just going to suggest a sort of form of wording for this recommendation that just for the committee to consider. So I think what Janine suggested at the time was that she'd ask the bus operators what they do with their buses, obviously recognising their unique position to provide that information. Perhaps what we could do is, as part of that recommendation, though, is ask her to also liaise with those bus companies or bus operators to look at the sort of appetite for those day trips and sort of the number that they're running or would seek to run. Because she said then if there was the appetite and there was the numbers, then it would be, they would look to build that into the strategy and the parking. Like I see Councillor Bletz has indicated again, Chair.
The problem with that, Jess, in respect, is it doesn't really happen now. This is the problem. If you don't put something in place, it can't happen going forward. That's the problem, isn't it? You know, if it does become a thing in the past, the coach company says, well, let's take a coach trip up with call. Where we're going to park, there's no coach, they can't go anywhere. So it's a chicken and egg sort of thing. It is awkward, but we think it can be, that question should be asked of the officers anyway. Are they going to consider, you know, coach parking in the future, you know, for in this strategy, basically? As we said, no strategy was said, didn't you? Some you know, that type of question. Yeah. Anything else? Go on, yeah.
Chair, I was just going to take you back to the discussions regarding the food retail store. I think Councillor Bledsoe had asked for an understanding of the criteria for qualifying bids. And Janine took us through the detailed development brief that they had prepared, that there were 5 tenders and lots of interest, and then they'd looked to try and match those tenders with the design brief, and she indicated 3 had not, including one of the highest bidders who didn't take up the opportunity to come and meet with the planners. Yeah. it's just whether scrutiny want to make, this scrutiny committee want to make a recommendation. Janine had said round 1 was design and then round 2 was best consideration, and she indicated that if we are to dispose of sites in the future, that they were inclined to use the same procurement exercise. So just whether the committee, given the response that they had in respect of this particular site, would agree that that's the right position, want to suggest an alternative, or in fact don't want to make a recommendation on it.
Councillor Bledsoe?
I'd fully support that. I think that's what Janine hinted towards, and I think if we can, I mean, what she described was a really in-depth and robust process of purchasing, which wasn't just about the money, was about how it benefited the community.
Yeah.
And if we could make a recommendation, this council follows that procurement, or no, it's not procurement, it's selling, isn't it? Selling process in the future, then we should certainly consider a recommendation that they follow that, because what she described sounded brilliant.
Yeah,
I agree.
Councillor Ward, you did have your hand up. You said it was a legacy, was it?
Actually, Chair, it was to do with the bus parking, but we've moved on now, so thank
you.
Oh,
we're going to make it. No, we can go back. We don't. No, we're not.
Well, it was just to make the point that it doesn't necessarily need to take up prime development land within the town. Most towns that I'm aware of that have coach parking, shall we say, it tends to be on the periphery, and the bus will lay over for the 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever it might be. Yeah. And there's an ideal opportunity coming up with the closure of the Titherston recycling plant.
Yeah, you can drop the customers in the town and then drive back out to the coach park. So, yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's totally, yeah. That needs to be considered anyway in some shape or form, definitely. Okay. Do we have Councillor Bledsoe's recommendation? Yeah. Anything else you can think of? Anybody?
That's everything I've got on my list.
That's what the scrutiny you've got. So, Councillor Bledsoe.
Chair, if possible, I raised the issue of the insistence of going to Pyle train station. I'd like the committee to consider a recommendation from us that this authority concentrates on a link between Porthcawl and Bridgend for all of the logistical benefits of doing so until the potential redevelopment of Pyle is any closer.
Is that an additional one or instead of? Are you?
Well, I mean,
because he sort of suggested, Janine had sort of suggested there's 4 bays and there could be. No, sorry, Jonathan Parsons said that, didn't he?
I mean, being honest, I welcomed all of the answers I got throughout the meeting, apart from that one. That seemed a little bit. I live very close to where Brackler train station is meant to be, and the spade went in the ground there 20 years ago. I can't see Pyle train station actively and properly servicing any metro link in the near future, and I would like to propose a recommendation that the concentration is to link the metro link bus terminal at Porthcawl to Bridgend rather than Pyle.
You put it out there for the committee to decide. If the committee's up, Councillor Pratt first. Oh, we've got 2 hands gone up now. Hang on.
Do you want me to come in, or do you want me to?
Is it related to that point, Councillor Pratt?
Yeah.
Well, they're all related to the point. Yes, aren't they? John, go ahead.
Is my hand up, Chair? My hand's up, I think.
Yeah, yeah, Councillor Jenkins.
I'll give way to the councillor. Sure? It's all right.
Okay, Councillor Pratt then, and okay. Councillor Jenkins.
Yeah. Sorry, thank you, Chair. Yeah, no, I would have to agree. I mean, I don't know what Pyle train station is going to look like in the future, but at the moment, if I want to get on a train somewhere, I go to Bridgend train station. I don't go to Pyle. So
good point.
At the moment, it makes sense that the link is going, but that doesn't have to be permanent. If Pyle becomes a main link, fine, move it to Pyle. But at the moment, it needs to go to Bridgend train station.
Okay, there's one vote for. Councillor Jenkins, please.
Yeah, I was going to concur with Councillor Bledsoe's their idea, but clearly the director and the officers were at a loss there, because possibly at the end of the day it's this scenario. There was all this money there available, and they kept telling us all through this process now for months, is either spend it or lose it. And if it's not directly linked to it having or is legally binding that it's got to be Pyle, I would support that we move the suggestion to Bridgend.
Councillor Clark is next, please.
Yes, I would agree. I mean, the whole idea of the Metrolink was because there was going to be initially a park and ride at Pyle.
Yeah.
That is now, as we know, not happening, and it won't happen. Well, in my lifetime,
Anytime
I don't
soon,
think it'll happen, to be honest.
Okay.
Because to move a train station is not an easy task, and how much is that going to cost? So I would totally agree with what Councillor Bledsoe has put forward, and I mean it's just logical.
Okay. I guess I got the similar answer coming from Mike Kern. Councillor Kern, you're going to give your thoughts?
Yeah, naturally, I would like to see it at Pyle, but at the moment, Pyle is not functional. I got to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, if they want to spend, I don't know, 20, 30 million, that's probably what it would cost them to move the railway station back to where it was. If they can find that kind of money, I don't know where they find it, might.
I think it's safe to say then that recommendation carries, and you can go on the list there, Luce, please.
I would have to say, well, I mean, I know we pushed hard when we down there, and they had all this people down there to say we're going to have a park and ride, and they were going to take over this land from Pyle Rugby Club, which never materialised because Pyle Rugby Club didn't want to sell their land for a start. So. We've been trying to get a decent railway station there for I don't know how long, but I don't know if it's going to happen. So, if on a temporary bit, if they do Bridgend first, and then if suddenly they find the money in probably 10, 15, or probably 20 years' time to upgrade Pyle, and then get Network Rail to agree to have a train stopping there every 20 minutes, well, fine, they can move it. But
okay,
at the moment, it's every 2 hours.
Yeah, we've agreed on that then. Okay, that recommendation is going to go forward. Thank you. Anybody else got any recommendations? Councillor Jenkins, a legacy hand, is it? Councillor Bledsoe?
Yeah, sorry, my apologies.
Mr.
No
Chair,
problem, Phil.
can I offer apologies? I've got to run to a Bridgend Town Council meeting. I'm an hour and a half late for.
Councillor Williams?
Are these
what
new,
I didn't catch.
Sorry, are these new recommendations, or is this in relation to Pyle Station?
Are they what, sorry?
Are these new recommendations now?
No, new one. We've agreed the Pyle.
Yeah, I don't know whether Councillor Clark will have to leave the room. I'll say it in broad terms and you can decide between you. It doesn't sit easy with me that when I ask, which I think are reasonable and pertinent questions, that they can't be answered for legal reasons. In light of that, I would request a confidential briefing to this committee to better understand why we can't be told.
We can ask, if they'll do it or not. It doesn't matter for them.
But I'd like to ask. If the answer's still no, so be it. But
I'm happy for that to go forward. But I know we can pretty much guess the answer, but we'll see. But okay. We could. Anybody else got any ideas for recommendation? I think that's it. Yeah. Okay, everybody happy with that? Yeah, Councillor Bledsoe's left the building, so he can't contribute. We're moving on to item 5, the forward work programme.
Thank you, Chair. So following on from members' consideration of the forward work programme at the previous meeting on the 12th of December, the forward work programme for this committee is attached as Appendix A. The SOP forward work programmes will be included in the next report to COSC with any updates from each SOP meeting included. The recommendations monitoring action sheet is attached as Appendix B to track responses to committee's recommendations at the previous meetings. We'd like to make the committee aware that there's been an update to the forward work programme since the publication of the agenda for this meeting, with the homelessness strategy report coming to the committee on the 17th of April. The following 4 reports will be considered and scheduled in the annual forward work programme. So that would include the Bridgend 2030 Net Zero Carbon Strategy, the Local Biodiversity Action Plan, Future Waste Services work streams, and the Corporate Joint Committee's regional responsibilities.
Can I ask a quick question there, Luce? The 17th of April date now, what did you say the homeless strategy has been dropped to there, and those to add to those 3 or to?
No, sorry, Chair. So the 17th of April will be the homelessness strategy, and that will be the one report. And then the further 4, then the 3 that we've got at the moment for the 17th, will be rescheduled along with the corporate joint.
But those 3 reports are going to be on one meeting, are they? In one.
Not necessarily.
Not
They'll be rescheduled,
Right.
but we can discuss where they go.
Okay. Okay. How is that for noting it? We could discuss this at all? Everybody happy with that? Or yes, you come in.
Sorry, Chair, just to, it's a separate point to the one Lucy's just made, but I just wanted to invite the committee to start thinking about items that they would like to consider at the scrutiny committee moving forward, and also just to have some thought as to invitees that they like to see for future items as well. So I've put that to committee at this point, and if there aren't anything forthcoming, something for the committee to start thinking about.
Can we email these in as ideas after the meeting, or we got to be done during the meeting? These.
No, you can email us in, and we can start looking at potential things and looking to formulate next year's work programme. But just conscious that we do want some input from the committee as to some items they'd like to consider.
Has anybody got any items they'd like to put on the forward work programme? Oops. Councillor Pratt.
Yeah, pedestrian safety in our historic villages. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Such as Kyra and that? Is that an historic village?
Hey, if you categorise it as one, we'll discuss it. There you go.
I'm doing that right now, right here. I'll be emailing Democratic Services tomorrow to tell them. Councillor Melanie Evans, please.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Sorry. Yeah, I think we should look at the levelling up next phase. I think if they're looking at putting bids forward, I know we need to be looking at that going forward as well.
Yeah, it's a big topic, but well, like I said, we're on the hoof here trying to think of ideas, aren't we? So if anyone comes up with something, Councillor Williams, sorry, I missed that.
No, thanks, Chair. Basically, building on what Councillor Pratt said, I don't know how big a subject it would be, but we could add active travel and safe routes into that, so that we've got a whole thing about safe routes, active travel, and just road safety in general.
Is that okay? Because we got the infamous missing link to my stay, haven't we? With the active travel routes, haven't we? That's
yes.
Councillor Jenkins, you going to come in?
Oh yeah, I'd like to second Councillor Pratt's suggestion as well. But particularly pedestrian safety, I think should be discussed as well. Particularly again, it was on the national news with the Coalition for the Disabled and everybody who cannot even access the pavements these days because of on-pavement parking. And they're putting their lives at risk in their mobility scooters and their wheelchairs by having to go on the road to travel. It's a very serious consideration. Pedestrianisation, prams, pushchairs, people going back and forth, even if they were to walk to school, they're finding it difficult today in towns and villages because they park everywhere on the pavement. So we need a strategy and we need a real good strengthening of the policies and see how we can move forward.
We can have a good deep dive in that when it comes up on the future programme then, Councillor Jenkins, okay?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Mike Kern, please.
Yeah, the one I've been thinking about is electric charging points. I'd like to know how they're coming along with that. The reason I asked that, I was walking along the prom and I saw they'd fitted 4. Well, I thought to myself, 4 electric charging points on the prom.
Yeah.
It's not a lot when you think what it's like down there. Sometimes
I think that might come in the net zero carbon strategy, might need to be part of that, wouldn't it? Councillor Clark?
I've just made inquiries about the electric charging points. There are some on the front in Porthcawl, there's some in Hillsborough Car Park, and there's supposedly a phase 1, a phase 2, and a phase 3. Because I've just asked Tara, I'm sorry, I don't know what her surname is, what happens after phase 3 as electric vehicles become more and more popular. Yeah. So and apparently they're coming into use now at the end of this month.
Okay, but would that be my point is, would that be part of the Gen 2030 net zero carbon strategy? Would it be, I don't know, would come in, it would be part of that, wouldn't it? Because I remember I don't know.
Yeah, I was just thinking it, I saw the 4 on the prom and I thought, well, if you suddenly get more and more electric cars, 4 charging points on the prom where people park, doesn't seem a lot to me.
No.
They need them in before the cars come, put it that way.
I got Councillor Walter online first, Councillor Williams. You go be next. Councillor Walter.
Thanks, Chair. I think we're, if memory serves, about 6 months away from the introduction of the 20-mile-an-hour speed zones, and I'm wondering if it's appropriate for us to ask for an update as to where we are across the borough in terms of which roads have been identified, timescales for signage and so on and so forth.
Yeah, we normally get a briefing from highways. When is that? Is that due at all? Or we'll get that in there then, yeah, that's going to be part of that, because we normally have, don't we have normally all highways in here, and we have a that's annually, I think that happens, I believe. And of course the waste, is the waste one strategy due anywhere?
There is something that residents are going to be asking us as members more and more about as the time approaches, and I think that it would be whether it's scrutiny or just a general briefing, that's up to you, Chair, but I think it would be useful to have a fairly comprehensive update. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody happy with that? Yeah. Can we ask? Sorry, Jess. Oh, Councillor Williams. Yeah.
Yeah, Chair. All it was is that if it's to be considered, the electric charging points as part of net zero, could we just explicitly ask them that so that when they come, that they're prepared to answer in detail? That's all. Thanks.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think. Yeah, because otherwise they might want to have the answer. Yeah. Jess.
Yes, Chair, that was going to be one of the points I made actually. So we can, when we scope out with the corporate director for these reports, that's something, along with any stressed invitees, that's something that we ask if members have asked for a specific area in the report. We can ask that they include that in the report so that obviously it can be discussed at the meeting. The other thing I was just going to mention, and I'm conscious that other members do have their hands up, is just that when we are scoping out these topics, it's already been discussed, but we can look at whether they're more suitable for a members' briefing, whether it can be an information report in the first instance, or whether it's coming as a full scrutiny report. And a couple of these topics obviously are large enough for that. But when we scope out some of the others, it may be that we have an information report in the first instance.
We could have information on the charges, couldn't we? If that's the case, then maybe as long as it's in depth, obviously. So are we going to ask for the high, when you speak to the corporate directors, when we have the highway briefing, which we normally have it's fairly regularly, I know that, I don't know if it's annually, and obviously the waste briefing, that's all for this committee, isn't it? These all need to be looked at.
If they're not already scheduled in members' diaries, you can certainly raise that with the corporate director, and either get them to obviously put in members' diaries or certainly an update of when they'll be coming.
When they'll be coming, yeah. Okay, that's enough. I think that's enough there, is it, Lucy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Anything else anyone would like to add?
Councillor Jenkins, quickly then, please.
Yeah, we're still on ideas, perhaps for forward work programmes, or to consider things like that. Perhaps could we ask what the county's strategy is going to be for mobile caravanners, etc., given that the director herself indicated that tourism is a big scene, a revenue builder, etc. And not only within Porthcawl, but the county borough, a policy or strategy to set up sites where people can stop just for the evening, or maybe 4 or 5, or even the week, because we don't want them parking along the fronts, blocking up roads, etc., even though, there could be enforcement on it. And without physical enforcement, what's the use? So there needs to be, I think, somewhere, and something within areas within our county borough that tourists can come and, park up.
Phil, Councillor Jenkins, sorry, I brought this up in one of the first, I think it was the appropriation meetings that we went
to. Right.
Because I asked them what's going to happen to the little area beyond the high tide there, which they currently use for mobile, caravans or camper vans and things, on the edge of Sandy Bay there. And there was no plan, basically, was the answer. But we can ask the question again. They think
Well,
they'll
I
have to
mentioned
go-
earlier, with the car, with the bus park is the old refuge site, Tiggerston. There's the Blackwater sites, you know, in and around there. But there's other areas in the county that have visitors, don't they?
Yeah.
And people would like to come. And if we want to, say, encourage that, we need people to come and
Right. I think
and be able to park up.
I don't think that's a full
You
screen.
go to France, they welcome you with open arms and a few francs, and you could stay in a shower with a shower room and shower blocks for next to nothing, man.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we would request information on that, Councillor Jenkins, rather than a full scrutiny on that one. I think is best. Same as charges. I think we don't need a.
Well,
okay, we will ask the question though, definitely.
We don't have a tourism officer anymore, I don't think, or a tourism board. So, you know, it's something to encourage, I think.
Okay. Right. Okay. We'll ask the director then, can't we? Councillor Melanie Evans, please.
Thanks, Chair. Just a quick one, actually. I was thinking about where we're at with our assets and cat transfers. You know, that might be something that we may want to discuss, sort of like sports fields, cat transfers, so on and so forth, where we're at.
That was another regular one we used to do. It seems to have fallen off the radar. So yeah, put that one on there. What Jess and Lucy will do is speak to the directors now for when the reports are due, etc., and try to plan them in then over the next, 12 months, I think, is it? Yeah, thank you. That's a good one. Okay, that's going to be enough for a minute. For a minute. Okay. That was forward work program, wasn't it? It's only now left. Is it urgent items? Anybody got any urgent items? Well, urgent. Well, thank you very much for your attendance this afternoon, stroke evening. It's been very interesting, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.